All right, here with Cliff Keene Wrestling Club coach Andy Hrovat. Brief respite in Ann Arbor between a couple different trips. First, can you kind of recap the first couple tournaments we've had this calendar year? You went to Guelph, you had a couple champions there. Then you were in Colorado Springs for the training camp, and then the Dave Schultz tournament, which I know, from a results standpoint, you guys weren't, as happy with. But do you think the last couple of weeks or the last month have been a good way to kind of, kickstart this push to the U.S. Open?
Yeah, absolutely. We had a long time off from the New York Athletic Club tournament in November. And so our guys, they took the second part of the year last year at the end. After New York Athletic Club, they rested, they recovered, they were able to work on some of the wrestling. And then we started back up after the new year. We gave them some time off, to go see their families, because, it starts getting to become a busy time of year. We started training really hard in January. We had some Canadians up for a week. So we had good workouts with them. And then we went right back to Canada and went to the Guelph tournament, where we had 2 champions and silver medalists. Jimmy wrestled really well, and for him it's really important that he gets his weight down and under control, because he's a bigger 60 kilo, but when he's disciplined and he's training really hard, it's not too terrible for him to make. But that was a big tournament for him to get there, get his weight down, and compete against some good Canadian competition. And then Kellen Russell. He's young, so every opportunity he has this year to compete, he's taking advantage of it, and every time he competes, he gets better. So, and it's the same thing Jimmy went through last year. When Jimmy was his first year wrestling freestyle, he had some up and down moments, but he's stayed on a plan, and this year, he's doing really well. And then same with Kyle Massey. It's his first year devoting full time to freestyle, and he's doing a great job. He was able to get second in Guelph, and then he went to the Schultz camp, and and he saw how our national team trains, and he was able to go to the Dave Schultz tournament and get a lot of international matches in. He wrestled a few foreign athletes, and he beat up on them, and he's got good style. He's just got to figure out how to beat the Americans. So he's coming along well, and from here on out, we have Jimmy going to the World Cup and then Belarus. And then we have Kellen, will be training in Ann Arbor leading up to Belarus, and then he'll go early for maybe about a week training before the tournament. And then Kyle will just get ready for the U.S. Nationals, so he'll be staying around Ann Arbor training. And Jake Herbert said he would take it upon himself to get him ready. So.
All right, and you had one other guy out in Colorado Springs, Josh Chirella, who's been really largely focusing on working with the Michigan team as a volunteer coach this year. But how'd you like how he looked at the camp?
Oh, Josh looked great. To me right now, Josh is the best 66 kilo wrestler in the U.S. I'm not afraid to say it. He is. I mean, he's strong. He's been top 3 the last 3 or 4 years. I can't remember. The one year he lost a controversial match to Caldwell. But other than that, they I think he's more relaxed this year. He didn't, sometimes when you're trying to make the Olympics, and you put the Olympics on a pedestal way high, and you set yourself out a little bit. And I think this year now, he knows where he's at. He knows his wrestling. He still trains every day. He lifts all the time, and but instead of focusing on himself, he's focusing on the team, and he's looking at it from a different perspective. So, the goal of being an Olympic champion, or being a world team member isn't as high. He just knows that he's capable of doing it, and he's definitely skilled. So I hope he does continue to wrestle, and I think he could win the Worlds this year. I mean, from what I've seen over the past 4 years, I mean, he's as good as anyone who has won the Worlds at that weight class.
All right, and you touched on these guys who are about to go overseas, Jimmy, Kellen, obviously yourself too. What for those guys, and I guess for all these U.S. wrestlers, what's the best attitude and the best approach for going overseas? What kind of mentality should they have going into it? Just maybe keep an open mind and be ready to absorb?
Yeah, when I was young, you're kind of shell-shocked. You go to these tournaments, and it's nothing like in America. In America, everything is so rigid and so structured, and You know, you go to college and you weigh in an hour before, and everybody sticks to themselves and this and that. And you go overseas, there's people there, there's people here. You don't know who anybody is. You know, the tournament could start an hour late. Nobody's going to tell you. They could redraw your bracket. You know, fans come in 2 minutes before it starts. And, I mean, you just have really no control over there. And then you see these wrestlers, they don't look like much, and then they go and they win. You know, so sometimes it could you know, be a little, you know, shocking to go witness this. But once you're there, you know, I mean, you know, maybe my first 1 or 2 times overseas, I was like that. But then you start getting used to it, and you're like, well, this is a more relaxed atmosphere. You just go out and wrestle, you know, like the foreigners, when they lose, you go look at them and you're like, you know, they lost. They don't go punch walls. They don't go, you know, kick things. You know, you go to compete because our sport's about competing, and, you know, leading up to it, that's the work you put into it. But you just go, you have fun, and, you know, if you just go lay it out on the line, you know, and you're already wrestling the best guys in the world, so just go have fun. You know, if you go out there and, you know, you're tense and you're timid, you know, bad things are going to happen. You know, you're going to get caught at the end of a period. You know, you're going to lose last second. You know, they're not better than us, you know, but they have a good mental approach to the sport, and for them it's just, you know, they just go compete, you know, instead of focusing about what others think about them. You know, they just wrestle.
And do you tell Jimmy and Kellen the same things, or do you kind of, you know, maybe give them different advice to get ready? Because obviously, you know, Kellen's done it, or excuse me, Jimmy's done it a few times now, and this is Kellen's first trip overseas. So how do you prepare each one of them?
I mean, I'm telling them the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I get to watch him in practice. I mean, Kellen has great skill. Jimmy is unbelievably athletic and has amazing offense. Nobody could touch his legs, you know. And if you stick to the game plan that you know, that I don't pick it for them, you know, it's their moves, but I just reinforce it, and I just keep telling them, you know, just keep going back to the things that win, because, you know, when you watch the best wrestlers in the world, they keep going back to what they're good at. And you know, basically, it's going to come down to 2 really good wrestlers who are, you know, they're going to go, it's going to be a pistol shootout. It's going to be like, you're good at this, I'm good at this. I'm going to keep doing this, and I'm going to stop you from doing this. And that's how you win at the highest level. It's no secret, but you just have to have confidence in your shots and in your offense. And, you know, I just keep reinforcing them every day because they're good. And, you know, they'll come along. And, you know, Kellen, every time, like I said, he keeps getting better. So, hopefully, you know, he doesn't have to wait like Jimmy until the following year to, you know, finally turn the corner. So hopefully, you know, Jimmy could help guide Kellen a little bit and, you know, get him ready for the U.S. Open mentally, because, you know, Jimmy's been in this situation.
All right, and then I asked Jimmy, right after that Russia trip, that you know, something along the lines of, do you feel like you're starting to learn how to wrestle foreigners? And his response was, it's not about learning how to wrestle foreigners, it's about learning how to, you know, stick to your game plan every single match. So, but do you think it's a good gauge to see how these guys perform against, you know, maybe top wrestlers from other countries?
Well, absolutely. You know, like the way I grew up, and, you know, you could go on Flow Wrestling and watch Coach Irvis's interview that they did, the Classic Coaches interview that Flow does. You know, and his philosophy, and what St. Ed's philosophy has always been is, you know, we're not just going to try to be the best in the state of Ohio, because we're selling ourselves short. There's 49 other states. So with their philosophy from the mid-'80s, early 80s, was, hey, we're going to get the best athletes in the U.S. and see where we're at. You know, and this is, and same thing, you go overseas, you know, it's like, you know, you're going to go over there and you're putting yourself out there to wrestle the best wrestlers in the world. And, you know, what happens, if you win, then fine, but you're still going to have things you have to work on. You know, but most of the time there's only one champion. So you have everybody comes back, you know, with a loss or 2 losses, and you say, hey, you know, from here on out, you know, we got to start doing this. And you know, it's having a game plan, it's having a system set in place, and, you know, learning and knowing what to work on after the matches. So, you know, the tournaments are important and they're the most fun thing, but the work and the whole part of our sport, 98% of it, 99% of it is, you know, how you approach training every day and how you use, you know, those experiences in tournaments to move forward and develop a game plan where you can win.
All right, and then Jimmy took bronze the last time he was in Russia. What are your expectations for him? What's your expectation for him, and what are your expectations for Kellen?
I mean, my expectations for them are both going to be the same. You know, I told Jimmy in early January, I said, Jimmy, you know, he wanted to you know, he's still getting used to my training, and you know, I was like, you know, we have to do this for training, and you know, he's like, but I gotta wrestle this weekend. I gotta do this, you know, and I'm like, Jimmy, we're training through Guelph, you know, and you know, I tell him, I said, you know, we're training you for Belarus, you know, and then we took him to Colorado Springs, and I was like, you know, you gotta make sure you're doing this, and you know, the big picture is, you know, winning those international tournaments for him, and he's capable of doing it, you know, and he wins those international tournaments, you know, it's going to put him in a situation where, you know, he's going to have to wrestle Coleman Scott, and, you know, Coleman Scott's going to know this kid's one of the best wrestlers in the world, and, you know, and the foreigners already know it. You know, the coach from Kazakhstan came up to him and, you know, was asking him about Grozny, and, you know, knew that he took third, so, I mean, from what I hear, you know, the Russians really like the way he wrestles, and, you know, he's right there. So, but both him and Kellen, you know, Kellen needs to expect to win. He's a good wrestler, and you know, if he sells himself short mentally, then you know he's not going to accomplish what he wants to this year. But if he believes, then you know he's definitely capable of doing it. He's won at every level. He's won in high school. He's won at junior nationals, cadet nationals, you know, NCAAs. So he's right there. And I mean, when a kid could do that and prove that he wins at every level, I mean, he's definitely going to make the transition and win.
Yeah, okay, now show off this this passport of yours. So, how many different stamps you have in here?
Too many stamps to count, but I have Belarusian visa, Russian visa, Chinese visa, bunch of stamps, Armenian visa, Russian visa, Russian visa, Russian visa, Belarusian visa, stamps, Iranian visa, Brazil visa, Russian visa, Azerbaijan visa, Russian visa, Armenian visa, some more stamps, some more Russian visas.
All right, so you are going to, you counted up the other day, you're touching down in 9 different countries in 3 weeks?
Yes.
Is that right? Anything that you haven't been to yet?
Well, I've never been to Turkey. I've never been to Italy. So it'd be cool. I just want to see if I could see some of the old cities. I know they're both really old cities, and I'm sure you can see some ruins, even though I don't have much time. But yeah, our travel, we go from Detroit to Amsterdam, Amsterdam to Rome for layovers, Rome to Baku, and we're at Baku from the 12th until the 19th, and then we go from Baku to Tehran, Iran, and we're there from the 19th until the 23rd, and then we go from Tehran to Istanbul for a layover, Istanbul to Minsk, and we're in Minsk from the 23rd until the 2nd or 3rd, and then we go from Minsk to Paris, back to Detroit. So it's a long trip, but I've done it, and you know, for me to be there with some of these guys, you know, who haven't done it, you know, it kind of helps them out, you know, especially last year when we were at the Ukraine training camp for 15 days, and these guys were starting to break, and you know, they're like, man, I can't take the cold, I can't take being in this country. I'm like, hey, I lived here for 8 months, and I'm with you right now. You know, so if I could do this, anybody can do it.
Yeah, but they said that you wanted to stay.
Nah, I didn't want to stay, but I could if I was given the ultimatum.
Okay, Andy, appreciate it.
Yep, thank you.